So that was Paul Whiteside talking to Ian Watson, Salford Red Devils head coach, about this pre-season so far. James?
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, over the festive period, we certainly had some Christmas crackers. But before we get on to them, there's been a bit of controversy on New Year's Day. Floyd Mayweather versus the kickboxer Tenshin Nasukawa. I suppose there's two ways you can look at this. It's either Floyd Mayweather, an extremely good businessman, made $9 million for an easy night's work, or do you more look at it as he's twice the size, he's retired, really shouldn't be doing this?
I watched it actually, and I think a bit of both there from what you said. He looked like it reminded me of like a dad with his son, playing with his son and sort of like, you know, bossing him about and pushing him around like you do. But he was a man against a boy, really, wasn't it, I thought, and Mayweather just toyed with him, didn't he? And I think it just shows, you know, kickboxing and boxing are two totally different sports. If Floyd Mayweather could have had to kick in that fight, perhaps he would have been in a bit more trouble, but he never looked in any danger whatsoever. But you've got to take your hat off to him. He's, you know, how old is he now? 40. He's, you know, he's never been beaten, has he? Never really been looked like being beaten in the boxing ring. So, the guy's an absolute class act. And but for me, it was a bit of I think they called it an exhibition fight, really. And you know, I wouldn't have paid money to go and watch it. I think I'd feel a bit ripped off, really. But he's a very shrewd businessman if he's made £9 million for an easy night's work, really.
Yeah, there's been a lot of criticism of it, not just because it was a bit of a mismatch, but also, you know, some people are saying it was faked. The way Tenshin went down, he was very dramatic. Do you think there was any truth in that?
I wouldn't like a dig off Floyd Mayweather. I don't know, to be honest. He did do it. I mean, body punches are hard, aren't they? I mean, I've heard people say before, and people who are not boxing pure, say, why didn't they get up from that? And if you get punched in that 13th rib area, let me tell you, it does hurt. It really does hurt. It takes your breath away. And if he got one of them, and you're not going to get up, sometimes it doesn't need the big A-making swing. If you get caught in a sweet spot down there, you're not getting back up from it. It just takes the wind out of your sails. And I think he did get caught a couple of times down there, and that probably was the end of it. And I think also he probably the fight had been knocked out of him as well. You know, once he's been down a few times there, I mean, your brain starts telling you to get out of there, I think, and that's what happened to the lad there. But really, you know, an exhibition fight, that's not really what I'd like to see. I mean, if Floyd Mayweather was going to carry on, you want to see him in those big fights, don't you? Like Pacquiao and Canelo and, you know, things like that. So hopefully that's not the last of Floyd Mayweather. Hopefully we're going to see him in a real humdinging boxing bout.
So we talked about the clash a few weeks back on December the 22nd. Two incredible fights. Dillian Whyte versus Derek Chisora was the one that you said you were going to watch. What did you make of the fight? Do you think it lived up to the first one?
I did. I thought they were all tremendous fights. I was a bit torn that night because there was a big boxing event at the Manchester Arena. Obviously, there was one at the O2 as well. I did manage to watch all the fights, you know, all not at the same time, but I have caught up with them all, and I thought they were all tremendous. They were some really good fights. The Dillian Whyte fight against Derek Chisora was a really good match-up. Chisora looked as fit as I've ever seen him, to be honest with you. He looked like he'd really trimmed down for it, and both men were throwing some serious leather in that fight. It was a tremendous fight, and the punches that they took, I mean, and the punch that sort of did the damage in the end from Dillian Whyte, it wasn't the biggest punch. It was a good punch, a good swing, and he caught him there, and there was no getting up from that, really. But it was a great fight, and a great fight in that as well. Some of the other ones that were on the bill were really enjoyable.
Yeah, Chisora started getting a bit reckless, really, when he had the point off, and that left him open for that left hook. In actual fact, he was up on the cards at the time, regardless of the points being taken off. Do you think if that hadn't have happened, Chisora could have seen out the victory?
Well, yeah, I think he could have stayed a bit more conservative then. But I mean, just going back to the point off, I think the the referee was right to set the point off, because there's quite a lot of low blows from Chisora. I don't know where he's getting his angles wrong or what in that fight, but he caught Dillian Whyte a few times down low, and that seemed to take the fight away from him. And it was a shame, really, because like he said there, he was up on the cards. He was boxing really, really well, in the best shape I've seen him in ever, to be honest with you. But the fight was great. It was great entertainment, and excuse me, just to see two guys, two athletes like that going at hammer and tongue against each other was a breath of fresh air. Really was a great fight. And will they make it a third one between each other? I'm not too sure, but I think there's still plenty of avenues for Derek Chisora to go down. Dylan White, now the world's his oyster. I mean, the big fights are out there for him, but Derek Chisora, he's by no means done. There's still some massive fights out there for him as well, because they're both two entertainers and two real top-line boxers.
Yeah, Dylan White, obviously, his last 5 fights, he's been on an incredible run of form. Derek Chisora, Robert Helenius, Lucas Brown, Joseph Parker, and then Derek Chisora again. Surely the man's earned a world title shot now. Yeah,
definitely. I think so. Yeah, he's got to be there for it now. I mean, but who's he going to fight though? The big fights are there for him. I suppose that's just for his promoters now to sort out. But he definitely has, like you said, off that run that he's been on. He's been in with some real top fighters there and deserves his shot. And I'd like to see him fight Anthony Joshua again. Joseph Parker. There's all sorts of names there you could throw into that, and Dylan White won't let you down. I mean, he's a warrior, an absolute warrior. He's not frightened of anybody. You've got to go back to the Anthony Joshua fight, and he really shook Anthony Joshua in that fight. For sort of 6 or 7 rounds, he was well in that fight, and then obviously got taken away from him. But I wouldn't sort of count White out against anybody. I think he'd give anybody a real tough night.
Yeah, moving over to the Manchester Arena, absolute cracker. Josh Warrington, Carl Frampton met in an absolute thriller. Warrington nearly had Frampton out of there in the first couple of rounds, which came as a bit of surprise, but Frampton saw it out, put in a valiant performance and went the distance. Is it time for us all to finally stop doubting the Leeds Warrior?
Definitely. You've only got to look at the last couple of fights. Patrick Ireland, Kiko Martin and Lee Selby, Carl Frampton, the two at the top two there, Lee Selby and Frampton, two world-class fighters, aren't they? Both been world champions. And I'm not saying Josh Warrington's made easy work of them both. He's had to work really hard for the victory. But when you look at both the fights, he's won them pretty convincingly, really. He's been comfortable and never really been in any real trouble. But, Josh Warrington's an absolute warrior. And I've not seen a boxer sort of for the last few years with an engine as good as Warrington's. He just seems to go, and he could probably do 15, 16 rounds easily. The fitness of him, he's an absolute machine. And you got to look at Carl Frampton. He's been in some really, really tough fights over his career, and for him to go there and get that result now, you really are propelling yourself to the world elite level now, and looking at pound for pound fighters next for Josh Warrington. But really exciting fight, and I think Carl Frampton still got fights left in him. But excuse me, it's a great result for Josh Warrington. Really pleased for him as well, because he's a really nice lad outside, I think.
Yeah, Josh Warrington, I mean, if you look at the landscape of that featherweight division, there's some cracking matchups. Leo Santa Cruz, Oscar Valdez, etc. Is it time to let's see him go over to the stateside and take some travelling Leeds fans with him, a bit Ricky Hatton-esque?
I was just going to say that, yeah, Ricky Hatton-esque, yeah. I think definitely now that's where the big money fights are, aren't they, for him? And that's where they'll be open to secure his future like Ricky Hatton did, and that's what the fans want to see, don't you? You go back to the Ricky Hatton days, he was taking thousands of followers over there, wanting for his fights in Vegas, and really exciting fights live on the television, and it really gets the country buzzing, doesn't it? And Ricky Hatton become an household name, didn't he? And a real man of the people, and I think Josh Warrington's a similar sort of character. He can do the same thing, and yeah, he'll want to test himself against those guys now, and I just hope he gets the opportunity, because sometimes politics in boxing gets in the way and the matches don't get made, but I really hope they do for his sake, because he's a guy that can really challenge these people and become a real great in the sport. But just going back to that Manchester bill, and another fight I really enjoyed, and that was the Mark Heffron fight against Liam Williams. Liam Williams, don't forget, has clashed with Liam Smith twice for a world title, and it was good to see the Welshman back in the ring fighting against Mark Heffron. That was a great fight that I really enjoyed. But as I said, on both the bills, all the fights were tremendous.
Yeah, obviously David Price was on that bill at the O2 as well. I know he's one of your favourite fighters. He had a little bit of a clash with Tom Little. The stoppage, I mean, I know he hurt him a lot with that right hand, but did you think it was a tad premature?
I did do. I'm glad you said I like David Price. I don't want to say David Price is the best boxer in the world, but he's a guy I always keep my eye on. But yeah, I enjoyed the fight. I felt sorry for Tom Little, because I thought he gave it his all in that fight, and I thought the referee stepped in a bit too early. He did take some heavy shots there, but I think he could have given him a standing 8 count there, really, because he lifted his hands up, and he seemed in sort of control of his faculties. He got his defence back up there, so it was a bit of a harsh stoppage, but it all happens in a split second sometimes for the referees, doesn't it? And you're in there with them, and they can sort of see in the eyes of the boxers, and if he felt it was the right thing to do, it was the right thing to do at the time. But it was It was a tough one for Little, who trained really hard for that fight. But David Price, where does he go now? Is there some big fights out there for him? I mean, I don't know. He always seems to look. He's very nervous to watch. You never know what's going to happen with David. I mean, he's only ever one punch away from a huge knockout, and he's only ever one punch away from handing out a big knockout. But I'd like to see him in some big fights, because there's some big fights at British level there for him as well. So hopefully he'll get another payday and another big event.
Yeah, last one for you tonight, Paul. There's been the first big domestic fight of 2018 confirmed. James DeGale versus Chris Eubank Jr. It's a real crossroads fight. James has all the skills in the world. Eubank's got that energy. Of course, he struggled at the hands of Billy Joe, George Groves, those elite boxers. You could argue, well, he's going to struggle with DeGale, but DeGale arguably on the slide in his last couple of fights. Who wins this one for you?
Oh, this is a really tough one. I don't know. I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, and it's a crossroads fight for both fighters now, isn't it? I mean, I didn't realise that Eubank Jr. was sort of late 20s now. His sort of career seems to be flying by. But both fighters, as you said, have lost to the elite fighters, haven't they? Billy Joe Saunders beating Chris Eubank Jr. and the fights that James DeGale's had. He's won a world title and then lost it. So I'll probably just kind of edge with Chris Eubank Jr. I think he might just have that bit of youth on his side, that bit of speed on his side, and DeGale's had some tough fights, so I'll just edge for a late stoppage or a points victory for Chris Eubank Jr. But I wouldn't go off my predictions, because I very rarely get them right these days.
Oh, don't be too harsh on yourself, Paul. You know everything about boxing and rugby, and that's all that matters on the Sportszone.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I'm sorry I couldn't make it again tonight, guys. I'm mega busy with work, but I'll be there back with you soon, hopefully. Okay.
So, next up on the Sportszone, we're talking football and the festive period.
I'm Wes Brown and I listen to Salford City Radio.
So, James, Manchester United, Man City, Salford City, all busy over the Christmas period. What do you make of it?
Well, he certainly have been. It has been a very exciting festive period, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I said the last time we were on, I thought that Manchester United were going to go on a sensational run of form with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think I've been proven right. Terrific victories. 5-1 over Cardiff, 3-1 over Huddersfield, 4-1 over Bournemouth, 2-0 over Newcastle, and then 2-0 over Reading. We've been scoring goals for fun, and it's just been a privilege for the fans to get to see that again.
Has the injection of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the new coach made the difference? Is he the magic that's making it happen?
Absolutely, the man's a legend. I don't think we would have got those results under Jose Mourinho, and I know I defended him so much during his time at United, but ultimately it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that are bringing the fans back interested in the club. He's just been tremendous. He's inspired a little bit of life. United are playing such free-flowing football. It's tremendous. Pogba's looked brilliant for the first time in a while. I'm really enjoying it.
Can they make the four? Do you think Man United's got enough in the tank to close the gap?
I believe so, yeah. I know that we've got bigger tests to come. I mean, just this weekend we've got Tottenham Hotspur away, so that's going to be the toughest test so far for Ellie. I know we've not played the elite sides yet, but do we make the top four? I believe it's more than possible.
Do you think, obviously, people getting very excited, aren't they, about the last 4 to 5 games, but they have played teams that Man United are expected to win. Now they play Tottenham, they play Liverpool in a few weeks, they play Arsenal, they play City. That's the real test.
They are the real test, but these games for the likes of Huddersfield, your Cardiffs, it's a cup final for all of them. And United are obviously going to be slightly more inspired when they play the bigger clubs. Obviously, the harder matches against the elite, but I'm still impressed with what United have done. And I think if we can transfer those performances against the bigger teams, then we can win those matches.
Yeah, talking about hard games, you got Arsenal in the FA Cup away. That's going to be a test for Ole as well. And then they got Tottenham this weekend. Hopefully, Man United will win and continue their charge up the table. Yeah, 2 trips to London there. I mean, the one at the Emirates against Arsenal. Tough game, but once again, I fancy us. I really do. And against Tottenham, this is the real crunching test. I mean, obviously, if you're a United fan, you're in two minds here. Of course you want Manchester United to win, but also you don't want Liverpool to win that league. So, obviously, hopefully Tottenham can, if they don't win this week, and hopefully they can get a few good results after that. I think United are going to edge Tottenham out. I really do. There's a lot of pressure on Spurs. Yeah, indeed. Let's talk about Manchester City. They had a kind of a mixed Christmas period. James, what do you think of that? I think they had some tough games. I mean, I know people are saying about Pep Guardiola that he's only inspired when he's against Jose Mourinho. I don't think that's necessarily true. Every team slumps at some point in the season. It's just all but guaranteed.
They beat Liverpool 2-1, which was a cracking result. I mean, I know it's been weird, actually, because every single week on this show, like the first few weeks I was in, it was City are going to win the league. This isn't going to be too hard for them. And slowly but surely, Liverpool built up and rose above them. Hopefully, City getting that win can edge City back into contention for the title, and I hope that happens.
Yeah, maybe. I think City may have kind of sleepwalked a bit, thinking they could sort of ghost the league. And Liverpool, suddenly found an extra leg, haven't they, in the last few weeks, and kind of built a bit of a gap now. 4 points. It's a lot going over, this time of year.
It is, but luckily Liverpool always seem to bottle it last minute. I mean, that slip that Steven Gerrard produced when he was one-on-one with Demba Ba was just incredible. I could watch that any day of the week and enjoy it. And a few years back, I think it was the 2009-10 season, they were so close to winning the league and bottled it. I still view City as the favourites here. I know it's not going to be easy for them. Liverpool are inspired form at the moment with Klopp, but I still think City win.
But Liverpool have the culture. Liverpool have the history. Liverpool have win leagues. That's what they do. It might be a bit tougher than I think it's going to be for City.
Yeah, I suppose so, but you say they're winning leagues. That's what Liverpool seemed to used to do back in the day. It's been a long, long time. I mean, while it's been the Premier League, they're still yet to win one. Can they cross that line? When you keep missing out, it makes the pressure even bigger the next time around. I think City are used to winning. I think at the latter parts of the season, they're going to come on strong. Yeah,
looking at the fixtures, the League Cup, you got Burton in the semi-final in the next day or so. Do you think they're going to win that one?
Yeah, I think you've got to fancy City relatively comfortably. They tend to see out these trophies against easy teams, so I fancy City.
Yeah, and then they got Wolves at home on Monday. Hopefully Liverpool will have dropped points during the week, and then they'll go and beat Wolves and close the gap.
Yeah, and then I think the gap will be close to 1, I believe. So it's all to play for, it really is. And I can't believe I'm sat here rooting for Manchester City. Bizarre. But, yeah, I think City see out that game against Wolves, and I think they're going to push Liverpool close, if not taking the league.
Talking about, obviously, big games, the other semi-final is tonight, Tottenham against Chelsea. Both big clubs, both needing a trophy to put on the mantelpiece. Who's it most important for?
Tottenham. I think it's more important to Tottenham. They've not really won too many trophies over the last few years, so I think they need one. Chelsea are always going to be in and around. Tottenham seem to do well every single year in most competitions, but they just never seem to cross that line. So, yeah, Tottenham Hotspur, I think, need it more.
Yeah, I think, obviously, I agree with that. I think Chelsea's kind of had success, but Tottenham still haven't quite reached the heights yet. And to win a League Cup would be a building block for them.
It was. They need that. I mean, the League Cup, I remember they won it in 2007-8, I believe, and that was a cracking moment for them. But it's been a long time since that season, over 10 years. So now I think they need this. They need to get some energy back in the club. It's just a shame for them that they keep coming so close and falling apart. I mean, a couple of years ago when Leicester won the Premier League, that was their opening. They couldn't quite take it. So Tottenham need this. They need these building blocks.
Yeah, and obviously, talking about cup games, Liverpool were defeated against Wolves.
Tremendous.
Yeah, another good day. Played a weakened side, brought 9 players in. Do you think that devalues the FA Cup?
To a certain extent. It's just not got the thrill it used to, the FA Cup, and that is a shame because it's still a big competition, a major trophy, but people just don't get behind it. Should Liverpool be resting players? Maybe yes, maybe not. I mean, they've only won 1 trophy in 12 years. It's not like they're walking away with loads and this is just, a foregone conclusion. Hopefully, you could also argue that the wheels are falling off a bit. They lost to City, then lost to Wolves. Hopefully, they go on a bad run of form at the moment and City can edge them out.
Yeah, I suppose it's all about, both teams being as consistent as you can, especially when the pressure builds, James. It's all about winning games, whether it's 2-0, 1-0, 5-0. It's 3 points in it.
It is. However you can win a game is however you've got to win a game. 3 points is 3 points at the end of the day. But ultimately, City are that team that have the more history in recent years. They're the team that's been winning leagues. Ultimately, put it whatever way you want. Liverpool aren't that team. So when the going gets tough, you have to make City the favourites.
Yeah, I suppose they've got some good players, Man City, and with 30 seconds to go, who do you think is going to make the difference in the title race?
Manchester City win the league, and I think the likes of Aguero are going to be the people to do that. De Bruyne as well.
And Jesus up front, he scores a few goals, doesn't he?
He does, he bags for fun, so City are going to have an extremely interesting next few months.